I'm only good at being young.
Welcome to Twenty-Allthings. My name is Kevin, and this is a web project dedicated to people in their 20s. So today's episode is going to be a fun one. It's actually going to be a virtual call because I will be dialing in from California, and my next guest is all the way in Australia. Fun fact, this person we've known each other for, I think, 15 plus years now. We were trying to reminisce how long we've known each other. We met back in the Philippines, and now we are in different parts of the globe. Please welcome Kamae Iniguez.
Hello.
Awesome. Well, first off, did I say your name right? I know I want to be very clear and making sure that I say your name right. So for all the viewers, it is Kamae Iniguez. And I know that usually there is going to be like an enye. We grew up in the Philippines. You grew up with that letter.
Yep.
And so how would you say your first and last name?
I now say it as Iniguez because I don't have an Enya in my Australian document, so I scrapped it.
Okay, so we'll go with Kamae Iniguez then. Well, Kamae, let's just go back real quick. And have we known each other for 15 plus years now? Is that a true statement?
I'm going to say it's true because I was trying to remember last night. I was like, how long has it been? I'm going to say it's going to be half a lifetime. That's for sure. It's half a lifetime.
I bet. It's so funny. And you could ask us at one point, either of us, but we met through a Pokemon fan page. People might call it Pokemon, some people might call it Pokemon, but we met through that method and we've been friends since then. Of course, we've had multiple interests since then, and it's great to have you on the project, Kamae.
Yep, and I've seen Kevin seen him from afar online in multiple faces, so I know the deepest cuts of his life. Well, couple of them.
Yeah. For everyone watching or listening, Kamae and we go way back. We have so many multiple creative projects together. In fact, that the logo of Twenty-Allthings was designed by her. So give her a shout out, show her appreciation because I truly am appreciative of. She designed not only the logo, but a lot of the graphics that you see with Twenty-Allthings. And she's been my creative consultant for many other projects, including this. So truly happy she is on the project. So Kamae, for people listening or watching, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi, I am Kamae. Hi, I'm Kamae. I work for a medical device company as my day job, but I say that I'm an artist outside of it. I am currently studying a music industry course that deals with audio engineering, music production, and music business at Abbey Road Institute, which is an institute that was founded in London and now has around 5 or 6 branches worldwide, including the US, Australia, South Africa, I believe Berlin as well, so Germany. So they're around, and I don't know how I got admitted somehow. And yeah, we're here. It's crazy. I wouldn't think that I'd be at this age going back to school with something that was unrelated from my undergraduate degree and master's degree. But here we are.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. And Abbey Road, I am reminded of that made famous by the Beatles, that particular road. And so I think we're talking about the same thing, right?
Yeah, so if we finish the program, we actually have the privilege to go to Abbey Road Studios and get our diploma there.
Oh, nice. That sounds great then, and that's very exciting for you. And so the reason why I wanted to get Kamae on the web project for this episode is, as we were talking about the many interesting things that you have gone through, particularly what strikes me very interesting in your life is how you found or are possibly still finding the balance between profession and passion. So let's talk about that. And let's start off with, so you mentioned professionally you are a engineer. Is that correct?
You could say by education, by title, I am a regulatory affairs specialist, a senior regulatory affairs specialist.
Okay.
So I work for a medical device company, which you've seen.
Yes, I have.
One of them. So that's my day job. It's usually I work for the corporate team, so the global operations team, and so it's really a lot of internal customer service and delivering the best to your customers so that m- they could do their day-to-day jobs more efficiently.
Got it. Okay, that's thank you for that. Okay, now that's one piece of what you do, and then you did mention that
Yep.
in terms of passion, you're pursuing music, and it sounds like you're an artist at heart. And so, can you describe like how has that journey been for you so far?
That journey has been what? That journey has been strange. It's been exciting. And sometimes I still say it, but I feel like I have the imposter syndrome because I'm stepping into something that I never, like, in my wildest dreams, in an alternate reality, I would have considered it if I was brought up in that environment,
Hmm.
but I wasn't. And so I find it so strange that I'm doing this because I never really thought that it was a possibility when I was younger. Because being Filipino, as you know, in our culture and maybe a lot of other cultures as well, we are brought up to think that yes, we have these passions, these interests that we really like, these hobbies, but then it's like it's good as a hobby and you could keep it to yourself. Like they like it's weird because parents encourage it, but they don't encourage it to the point that you make it public. Have you had that same experience?
Yeah. So you're saying that like in terms of like it could be culturally, we're
Yep.
asked to pursue what we want, but more from like a hobby level and not necessarily pursue, let's say, an arts course. Like
Yep.
that's more encouraged of like do that, on the side. And then growing up in the Philippines, we're encouraged to take more of a science related degree as
Yep.
a long-term profession. I think that's what you're going at.
Yes, generally speaking, yes. And even for the hobby level, like for example, if you're a writer, I'm just using this because you are.
Yes.
You will do, your parents encourage you to do it, but yes, it's going to be at the school level, at the college level, but it's not something that they would necessarily encourage you, even if it's a side hustle, to do professionally.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I think that like, well, I think it's also based on what they're used to and their upbringing of
Yeah.
like, okay, they had to pursue whatever related degree, potentially engineering, science, all of that, the usual routes. And
Hmm.
you don't really hear many people pursue the creative route. And so, same with me. Well, I work in a tech company right now. And then all of my creative outlets, like doing this type of web project, is was really born out of this idea that I just do it on the side. Like even when I was in college, I spent a good amount of my time being part of a student publication, and that was like creative outlet while still pursuing a computer related degree. So with that, let's talk about your 20s. Like how has the balance or finding the balance or pursuit to find the balance of profession and passion played out while you were in your 20s?
That is a very interesting story because I was recollecting, when was it? It's probably a week ago or something,
Mhm.
where I realized that at least in my early 20s, I was trying to be I was trying to adult as much as I can. That I felt like I partially lost myself during that time because I tried to dress really professionally as well, like in work and all those things. And then looking back, I look at the pictures and then I try to remember, is this really me? Wait a second. It is me, but I feel like I was trying to be partially something else. Like, obviously, my friends will know who I am as I am, but then it seems like I'm trying to portray someone else, which is weird.
Mm.
And so there are a lot of interests that I really kept internalized to myself, and everything that I liked exists within the confines of my room.
Mm.
That's also when, I guess that's when some of our projects started. Our drawing comic book hobby
We had so many
project
projects.
started.
Yeah, we could talk about that for
Yep.
hours.
And then that's also when I started writing songs again in my bedroom, not eh, just writing because, well, again, in my wildest dreams, I would have the songs released, but I was being realistic and trying to adult. So
Mm,
I just wrote them hoping that maybe in the future it could possibly be released, but I wasn't really looking into doing it. Now, mid 20s happened. I moved to Australia, took up my master's degree, and then sometime after graduating, I started to get a hold of who I was, or at least I wouldn't say who I was per se, but then who I was outside of, I guess, the trying to be an adulting Kame, if you'd put it that way.
yeah.
So that's when it's weird because maybe other people would consider it as regressing, but then during my early 20s, I remember that's when I stopped playing video games
Mm,
because I was trying to adult. And so for some reason, I got tired of it and I went back and bought games once again. And then I started picking up my hobbies once again because I now had the time after graduating from my master's degree.
yeah.
So I started with songwriting classes at the Conservatorium of Music in Sydney. And it was very intimidating. But then I always have this saying to myself, I'm pretty sure it's a somehow known saying. I might be paraphrasing it, but if it scares you, oh, and I have it in my wall as well. It says, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And
Mm,
so I kept that at the back of my mind. And so it really started with that tiny step of, you know what, I couldn't do much, but then I'm going to do this as the first step to the process. And hopefully this step will lead to another step. And so it's really about not like you have this bigger goal, but then take it one step at a time because even that seemingly tiny step is already a big leap for you. If you look too far in advance
yes.
on what tiny steps you are going to take, it's
Mhm.
just going to intimidate you all the more. Because if you ask me in 2017, when I first started songwriting classes, oh, Kame, you are going to be enrolled in an advanced diploma in music industry, and people from industry who have worked with big people are actually teaching you. Oh my goodness, I would be super freaked out.
Yeah.
And I still am, but then 2017 me would have freaked out. Like, what are you even saying to yourself, Kame? Have you lost your mind? And if current me was speaking to my former me, I would say, yes, you've lost your mind, but you know what? It's okay because it's losing your mind in the context of you are trying to defy what is expected of you.
Mm,
And you are really in the end, like, we are placed in this world to just contribute to society, probably find your, I don't like using the word finding your purpose, but more of finding where you are in the greater scheme of things so that you could fulfill the role that God has put you in this earth for, whatever that is, because it could be a variety of things. But then, like, I just want to find out how that works in my life. And the only way you could really do that is taking a leap of faith.
yeah. No, well, kudos to you, really, for having the courage to pursue all of that. I love that line. Can you repeat that just for the sake of listeners and watchers? Like, is that line on your wall? Like, if your dreams don't,
If your dreams, I'm reading it right now, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
yeah. No,
And
that's
then, yep. And then the other quote that you probably have seen me post a lot is, most dreams don't commit murder, most dreams commit suicide.
yeah, that is definitely, yeah, I can totally see how that is the case. And so you're talking a lot about this concept of, possibly we are meant to pursue a variety of things. And
Yep.
so for you, just out of curiosity and try to further understand, like we've been talking about this concept of like balancing profession and passion, but is there
Mhm.
a version of that for you in the near future or whenever where there is like a they all meet in the middle of like, okay, what you do professionally and what you are passionate about. Like down the line, they just become one thing. And at one point, you just realize that, you were meant to do this one thing, one lane situation or approach.
So as of now, I'm still uncertain, but then one of the things that this institution I'm enrolled at has is stressing about a portfolio career. Have you heard about that concept?
I have not.
So a portfolio career is a career where you have multiple titles.
Okay.
So for example, I could be a biomedical engineer slash regulatory affairs, which is one profession.
Mhm.
I could also be an artist, and that is another profession. And those two could exist together and
Okay.
actually make you a very unique, an individual with very unique skill sets that's valuable to company. It's just that you need to find a company who is open-minded and sees that, oh, this person has all these skills, how are these skills transferable so
Hmm.
that they could contribute in our organization. So you need to search for portfolio careers, and so that made me realize, oh, I don't need to only stick to one,
Mm.
because as much as creative careers are good, and hit the right if you're at the right place at the right time, you can make it a full-time living. Just look at all the famous people.
Yeah.
That is not realistically possible for majority of the population.
So as we talk about these things, and you may
Mm-hmm.
have thought of these and through the past few years with
Mm-hmm.
your journey. But if you were to give advice to yourself in your 20s, or maybe other people in their 20s, with what
Mm-hmm.
you've already gone through in the past years of trying to find the balance between passion and profession, what would you tell yourself in your 20s?
In a nutshell, passion, when it comes to passion and profession, in a nutshell, how would I summarize it? Wait, let me think about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Passion and profession.
Yeah, if you were going to give like one
Yep.
practical advice as
Mm-hmm.
we wrap up this conversation,
Yep.
like, and you try to tell that person and yourself in your 20s, like, what would be that one sentence you would let
Yep.
yourself know?
Wait. You do not wait. Let me think about this properly.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. It's better to try and fail rather than not having tried at all. The
Mhm.
worst thing that you want to happen at the end of your life, in your deathbed, if you ever reach that point, is to be looking back into your life and all the past events and wishing I could have done that.
Hmm.
So that is something that I heard from Lindsay Sterling.
Oh,
And
sorry, from who?
Lindsay Sterling, so the
Oh, okay.
violinist
Got it.
tutor that
Yeah.
her father taught her. And
That's
that was particularly a very striking interview when I listened to it, because it's true.
Yeah, no, that really, I think out of this whole conversation, like, thank you so much for letting me into like what you're going through your journey into your world. Like, it's very fascinating, and it really hopefully inspires the people watching or listening to take a chance and
Yep.
really not be afraid to dream big, as you've
Hmm.
pointed out. And
Yep.
as we wrap up, like, if people want to listen to what you're passionate about, like, can you just quickly like give a rundown of where they can find you?
Okay, they could find me in Instagram at Kamehame, so that's KAMAEHAMAE. Yes, it is because of Dragon Ball, because I thought it was fun and easier
Kamehame.
to pronounce. And you can find my music on Spotify at Kamae Iniguez. Just search for my name. And another thing is, when it comes to passion, I was having this conversation with someone the other day wherein passion or creativity or whatever hobby you want to do, you do it in order to survive,
Mm,
because that's how you release these things that's just the way that you process things, and you need to release it. But then there's also part of you were in the ideal world, you wish you could try to earn money from it, like,
yeah.
let's be real. And really, in the end, like when it comes to these creative endeavors, because it's an expression of your soul, you just want it to be sustainable in the
Yeah,
end.
for
And
sure.
so you need to pursue your passions in a way that they're sustainable so you could keep doing them and enjoying them. And hopefully, somewhere along the line, you find what you're meant to do in life.
Yes. Well, you've been truly inspirational. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And we hope that the people watching or listening will be able to find practical ways on how they can find balance between profession and passion. Well, again, thank you so much, Kamae, for being on the project of 20 All Things. And thank you so much for all the help that you invested in this project. And for those of you watching, if you continue to want to watch more of our videos, we are on YouTube. Just Google or search 20 All Things. And if you want the audio version, we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you again, Kamae. And for those of you watching and listening, we hope to see you next time for 20 All Things.
Look. Yeah, I'm young, but I'm hungry. Here to learn, I won't let you take it from me. Grown talk, yeah, I'm talking 20-something. I don't know about much, but know one thing. I'm only good at being young.